you could have seen going in the second round.
Mm-hmm.
In the third round at the latest is what you think. You know what I mean? And so to get him in the fourth is absolutely bonkers. And not only that, but you mentioned it yourself. You turn on the tape and you're like, fourth round, there's no way, right? This kid is a military background. He grew up with the discipline. He's well mannered. He's well spoken. He's a leader. He's a team that they mentioned it. At Boise State, he was the leader. Whenever there was a loss, he was putting the game on himself as a wide receiver. Like, what would you have done differently? You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
So he has the tools that you would want in a leader of your football team at wide receiver. In the fourth round, where this kid's gonna come to your team, maybe he's looking to. I mean, typically, if you get a wide receiver in the fourth round, this guy is looking to maybe make the practice squad or on a Super Bowl contending roster. Maybe make the practice squad. Maybe look to be that fifth slot guy on the roster. Receiver. Right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
He comes in here. He might be now. I love Gabriel Davis, so I don't know. we have to see what Gabriel Davis does this year, but I would not be surprised if Khalil Shakir is a top 2 wide receiver for this football team in the next 2 years. Okay,
you heard it here first. You heard it here first. Justus General on Nickel City Crew. Everybody mark that down and tweet at him for sure.
I feel like at the very least he's going to be our slot. In the next 2 years, and I think this is just another Brandon Beane still. Another Gabriel Davis, essentially. So, we'll see what happens with that. But that is probably the biggest sleeper of the draft as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, wow. Not even the Bills. The draft.
He
was way underdrafted. Okay. I like that. I like that a lot, man. Well, I'll be waiting for him. I can't wait for training camp just to be able to, see him out there. And we obviously all the reporters give out those updates and stuff like that. But I promise you, he's going to come up with some catches this summer where people are going to be looking on those videos like, whoa, like, yo. Listen, go to ESPN. You can go to ESPN and just bring it right up. You go to the Buffalo Bills page on ESPN. They've got all the draft picks and stuff like that. They got a quick couple-minute video of like a minute video of them. And I promise you, he catches the ball with his hands, and I love that. The next pick, it was a funny pick. A lot of people talk about it, the punt god, Matt Araiza. I don't really have too many feelings about it. I mean, it's a cool nickname. He seems to be booming. He's got all the records, it seems like, for FBS. I looked at some of his stats the other day. He's got everything. I mean, net yardage, punts inside the 20. Last year, he was just dominant. So I don't necessarily know why he was the third punter taken, but Brandon Beane scoops him up. And no offense to Matt Hack, these guys are all professionals. So anything we ever say on the podcast is never personal because we're affecting and talking about their performance. And Matt Hack, he could be a great holder, and that's fine, but he couldn't get the job done last year as a punter. And some of his performances were just downright bad, period. So there's no way to sugarcoat it. So I'm hoping that they can teach Punt God how to hold, and then he can cut the ball through that wind down at the stadium. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. To me, this kind of is like Brandon Beane showing off, right? It's like, all right, well, I know it took Tyler Bass a couple of years ago. You thought Tyler Bass was garbage at the beginning of his rookie season. Then he turns out to be one of the best kickers in the NFL in the last 2 years, right? Probably strongest leg in the NFL. If not, he's definitely top 3-5. Oh, yeah. And now this kid is going to be your franchise kicker for the next 20 years. You know what I mean? And you drafted him forever. And I meant Tyler Bass, right?
Tyler Bass.
So now you look at Matt Araiza, and I think it's the same thought process, right? It's him showing off. It's like, all right, yeah, we got, we drafted the best kicker in the league 2 years ago, and he's going to be great. When Justin Tucker retires, he's going to be the, you know what I'm saying, right? And then you get Matt Araiza, and then this guy, and the only reason you mentioned he's the third punter off the board, the only reason is he was a 1-year punter. He isn't quite great with directional punts as far as like kicking it out of bounds, maybe, or whatever the case may be, pinning it down in the 5, whatever.
Right.
Exactly. And not only that, but he tends to put a lot of leg into all of his kicks. So
kicks as hard as he can every time.
Yeah. So sometimes, maybe if you're punting from your own 40, it's going to be a touchback because he doesn't put enough,
control on it. Okay.
Exactly. So, but that stuff can be learned. You know what I mean? That stuff.
That's all he's going to be doing every day of practice. His craft.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You get around NFL players or, around NFL training staffs and that stuff can be learned. So I'm not worried about that. To me, I call Brandon Beane he's like Batman to me, right? He's Batman in a world where there are no superheroes, right?
Okay.
Um, and and so it's like he has a contingency plan for everything, right?
Okay.
All of the things that made us lose last year, he put a contingency plan on the team. The offensive line decides to be garbage in Pitt or Jacksonville. All
Right.
right,
Right.
we're
Right.
gonna get some. We got our starters at offensive line. We're also going to get some depth level guys who are also starter level guys, like not depth level, some depth guys who are also starter level caliber
Absolutely.
offensive linemen, right?
Absolutely.
Defensive line, got ran down their throat. All right, let's rebuild the entire
The
defensive
entire
line
line. He changed
with
the whole line.
big bodied, huge guys down there, big,
Space Eaters.
exactly,
Hmm.
exactly. And so he has a contingency plan for that. You get Josh Allen, the best quarterback on the planet. You got a contingency plan for that in case Keenum, a guy who led the Vikings to NFC Championship game, right?
That's right.
Stephon Diggs, and you know what I'm saying. So he
Hmm.
has a contingency plan. So when Matt Hawk could have very well cost us a few games last year, right? The Falcons game is like he wanted to lose that game. He's like, I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure we lose this game. And he went out and he drafted a punter. He was like,
Okay.
that's my contingency plan. Tyler
Okay.
Bass, knock on wood, God forbid anything happens to him. Well, now my punter can also kick, sir. That's a
Right.
contingency plan for you as well.
Right.
So that just felt like a flex to me from
That's
Brandon
what's
Beane.
up.
He was just like, I'm him, and now you got to deal with me,
Yeah, I
So
love it. I love it. I mean, I trumpet him. I mean, I'm very controversial on Sean McDermott, and I'm very hard on him. But I couldn't be more opposite about Brandon Beane. I think he's the best GM in the league, and I'll always sing his praises. So I like it a lot. I like that. Pick as we wrap up the draft. Pick 185, late rounds. Christian Benford. I liked him a lot. I know he came from a small school in Villanova, but I do like his instincts. I like the way that he reacts to the ball. Just because you went to a small school and played against different competition, talent stands out. So that's why he was drafted. It doesn't matter what division of football that you play, that they're going to find you if the talent stands out. And his did for sure. So I'm excited to see what he does. I think it'd obviously be a special teams contributor as well if he needs to be, but just more depth. I described it, General, as just strength on strength, just Brandon just being smart. Like you can never have enough corners, can never have enough wide receivers. They're just adding strength on strength. So I really appreciate the fact that he was smart enough to grab another one before the draft was over.
Yeah, Christian Benford is. See, if Khalil Shakir wasn't there at the 4th round pick and had that absolutely nuts, crazy, unbelievable value, this might be my favorite undervalued pick in the entire draft is Christian Benford. I mentioned when we were talking about Terrell Bernard about the special teams guy who might come in and make an impact. I think it's going to be Christian Benford. You take a look at his tape. This guy is everywhere. He's everywhere.
He doesn't mind hitting. He doesn't mind hitting
at all. He welcomes hitting. Like
I like
he,
that.
he hits people and gets up and he's gonna get in your face and talk about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you go ahead and look at this kid's tape. So many interceptions. It's like he's all over the field. He's breaking up passes right and left. He's hitting people. He's knocking people's heads off. I'm just like he's gonna be a sleeper. Like people are gonna look at him and they're gonna be like, how did we miss this kid? Like, Josh Allen played at a small school. Well, guess what? Now he's the best football player on the planet. You know what I mean? So I think that, and I don't know if I will see him as a corner so much. I personally like to see him as a safety.
Okay.
That safety.
Kind of a contingency
Maybe
plan for the future.
hybrid safety linebacker. No, not even a contingency plan because I don't think he's like a replacement for Jordan Poyer or Mike Hyde or anything like that. I think you're probably going to need to get like a legitimate replacement for those guys. But I do think he can play nickel really well. I do like him in that package where he can be. So here's my logic. I kind of like to see him as like a free roamer a little bit, just because he is a ball hawk, just because he does like putting, his hat on people's chests. I want to see him be out there and be able to maximize his abilities and his potential. And of course he's got to earn that. You don't just come in and you know what I mean. But with the way this coaching staff develops talent, especially secondary players. You look at Dane Jackson and Levi Wallace. Come on, bro.
Undrafted to
Come
a
on, bro.
3-year starter.
Rob, my man, Rob. Listen, if Levi Wallace is undrafted and he signs to the Panthers, Levi Wallace is not.
The Steelers. Yeah.
No. I'm saying if he signs with the Panthers, he is not in the NFL today. Okay. He's not in the NFL today. But when you put him on the Buffalo Bills defense, he's now the CB2 for a championship caliber team. The number one defense in the NFL. He's CB2. Finished off the season CB1 for that same number one NFL defense. But it's because McFrazier puts their defense, their secondary specifically, in the best possible place to succeed, right? So even if you got a guy like Levi who's not incredibly talented and not incredibly gifted, he can still be where he needs to be and make the plays. So if you got a freak talent like Kyer Elam, he should be able to thrive. If you got a guy like Christian Benford, who also I think is sneakily a freak talent, he should thrive, and I think he's going to. I think he's going to take over that Saran Neal role as kind of like that backup, So that's what I think. Christian Benford probably there's so many great picks I can't even rank him, but he's definitely my sleeper of the draft.
No, I like that, and I like your point about development. That's a great point. That's something that's not often spoken about, and it's right. Like development. What do you do after you get your hands on the players? What does your coaching staff do? How capable are you of getting the most out of your players? I think the Buffalo Bills, I can be hard as I want to be on Sean McDermott. I can't take away anything from his preparedness and the way that he has his players ready to play. 13 seconds aside, all jokes aside, they're ready to play every Sunday. For the most part, every team has some hiccups like Jacksonville last year. Every team has some hiccups where they don't necessarily bring it. But for the most part, when the Buffalo Bills strap it up and go on the field, home or away, they're ready to play. And that does speak to coaching, and it does speak to development as well, getting the guys in the right mind frame to be ready to go out and do their best. So I like that. As we wrap up the draft, Luke Tenuta, I do not know anything about that young man, but I know that he is going to be more added depth for them.
Yeah, great depth.
Just another tackle guy, can probably play both sides of the line. They'll train him up. They love the offensive linemen to be versatile, so they can play different positions at the drop of a hat if there's an injury. So I expect the same thing from him. And then wrapping up the draft, was Braylon Spector, who we've seen a lot through Clemson's run because they're always on TV, most recently when they were really good. So I've noticed him as well on a few games, Braylon Spector, linebacker. So that's another special teams guy that will probably round out them. Now, as we wrap up tonight's episode, I really appreciate you spending the time with me, Justus, and it means a lot to me for sure. Quickly, just tell me about your expectations, and we'll dive into this deeper, I know for sure, in upcoming episodes, and I hope to be a guest on your show as well.
Absolutely.
What are your expectations? The schedule just came out. We've got the new schedule. We know exactly when we're going to play the opponents, when and where. What are your expectations for these 2022 Buffalo Bills? Because mine, I'll lay it out right on Front Street. I don't have any problem with sticking my chest out. Kevin Hart, say it with your chest. This is a Super Bowl roster right now, not next year, not any other time. I know that the window, we talk about how long is the window open. I don't care how long the window is open. I don't care how wide open it seems, and the draft is coming in and it's cold in the house. Doesn't matter. The window is open right now for the 2022 Bills. I think we can go get us a championship. I think we can go plan a parade. I really do. Now, will we? We don't know. We're not fortune tellers, but that's my expectation. We have a championship roster right now.
Well, we will be playing the parade. You say you're not. I'll call myself. I'm Miss Cleo. Okay, parade is coming, man. All right, listen. So the way I see it, Chiefs went 15-1 a couple years ago, right? Patriots went 16, a couple, 2011, 2012, whatever it was, right? A decade ago now. That's how I see the Buffalo Bills.
Really?
Right?
Okay.
That's how I see the Buffalo. Because if you look at that Chiefs roster, the one that went 15-1, right?
Right.
That was unstoppable. It was unstoppable. Let's be real. Like, that was disgusting. It was absolutely just flagrant how good that team was. Right.
Embarrassment of riches. Absolutely.
We had to gear up to beat them. We had to do everything in our power to be like, oh wow, we finally got a good team, and we run into God tier, God level
Right, right.
team, and now Brandon Bean is like, oh crap, I got to figure out how to beat this team, right? And in doing so, it got to a point where I don't know if you guys are familiar with like the first time America went to the Olympics, right? So what happened was the